afternoon, friends. Good night, rather. My name is Alina Shevtsova. I'm a New York immigration attorney, and today we're going to have our live summarizing the most interesting recent immigration news. And of course, after I will be answering your guys' questions live as I usually do. So thank you very much for joining. Let me know where you're watching from. If this is your first time, welcome. I'm an immigration attorney based in New York, but I help people from all 50 states and overseas. I've been practicing immigration law for 16 years now. And on my social media channels, I regularly host these live shows where I talk about the most recent important immigration changes and share tips with you for free. So thank you very much for joining, and let's start. On display, if you're watching me on YouTube and Facebook, you see this card, Valentine's card that the White House published yesterday in their stories. Maybe some of you are already familiar with this masterpiece. Well, I'm gonna tell you that pretty much it summarizes the situation that we have right now with our immigration. Rather than looking for long-term positive solutions, the government focuses their efforts on this particular attitude. And I can read the card if you are watching me on TikTok and you do not know what I'm talking about. It's a pink card depicting President Trump and Tom Homan heads, stating roses are red and violets are blue. Come here illegally and we will deport you. So, masterpiece, as I said, rhymes great, but unfortunately doesn't really help to improve lives of 11 million people undocumented residing in the United States. And today we're going to be talking about what happened this past week. We will cover Florida law that many of you probably heard at least something about. We're going to talk about change detention policies, which are extremely, extremely important to know about. And of course, I'm going to be providing some updates with regard to what's happening in New York, my home state. And whatever questions you have, guys, please let me know. I hope everyone, or at least those who celebrated, had a nice Valentine's Day yesterday. So let's start. The first thing I wanted to share with you, and the first news I wanted to discuss relates to Florida immigration law. Florida law is very interesting because it presents this new trend that emerged about a year or two ago, where certain states decided that they will be passing their own immigration laws. Most of the state laws were challenged already in federal courts, and most of them failed because federal judges state that immigration should be the voice of the federal government, not state laws. Nevertheless, in Florida, just a day ago, a new law was published. Again, it's not the first attempt to change immigration laws. And it sort of repeats certain points made by Trump on his first day in office, and also adds some. Maybe you've heard of this law. I'm going to summarize it as succinctly as I can. Basically, it establishes capital punishment for certain immigrants who commit capital crimes. It calls for full cooperation between the state authorities and ICE. It means that if the person is arrested, they will be checked whether or not they have immigration status, and the information is going to be shared with ICE 100%. Also, of course, it adds a certain budget to the government of Florida just to deal with immigration. But the most interesting piece is not even that. The most interesting piece that it establishes its own criminal responsibility for people who enter the state of Florida, that to my knowledge doesn't really have any distinct borders between with other states where there is a checkpoint. So it establishes criminal responsibility for people, criminal punishment for people who entered the United States without inspection and later enter or attempt to enter state of Florida. They omitted the part without inspection because there is no inspection when you enter state of Florida, right? If you're driving, for example. And I'm going to tell you that that's crazy because basically what's going to happen, and what this law is really is aiming to do, is to punish people who entered the United States without inspection and are residing in the state of Florida to the point that these people will be subject to detention and later criminal persecution just based on the fact that they are in the state of Florida. Very interesting. Why? Because generally speaking, under the federal law, if you are in the United States, just being in the United States, and you don't have status, that by itself is not illegal. So it seems that the way this law is drafted, it wants to, the purpose is to criminalize just being in the state of Florida if you enter the United States without inspection, and sort of contradicts with the federal law. There are, of course, defenses to these accusations. For example, if the federal government granted a person lawful presence in the United States, perhaps they're referring to deferred action, or if somebody filed for VAWA and they received work permit, maybe that's what they mean by that. Because, of course, lawful presence by itself has a very distinct meaning, like lawful non-immigrant status has a distinct meaning in immigration law, but this lawful presence maybe refers to other states an immigrant may have in the United States, such as deferred action, parole, pending status of some sort. Now, if you are subject to or can benefit from Cuban Adjustment Act, you also not going to be punished by this law. But that's about that. And if you are under the age of 18 when you entered, they're not going to touch kids, right? But that's that. So I guarantee you that tomorrow or by the end of the next week, there will be a lawsuit against this masterpiece. I guarantee you that there will be. We're going to see how it's all going to unfold, but the general trend is here. Alabama, state of Alabama, also is considering a law that would punish people if they reside with undocumented person. If you knowingly reside with a person who is undocumented, then they're going to punish you. If you marry somebody and you reside with them, what they're going to do? They're going to punish you because you chose to marry an undocumented person. What if you're working together on trying to get status to that person? It doesn't make any sense. It's a mess. Again, we're going to see what's going to happen. I think that this project is going to fail in Alabama. But nevertheless, I can imagine that it's terrifying if you are residing in Alabama and you are undocumented at this time. So these are little updates from Florida and Alabama. There is a little update from New York as well. In New York, we just had a rally in support of immigrants and against ICE raids. It comes right after Eric Adams stated that local authorities will not interfere with ICE enforcement. And I think there is already a movement asking Eric Adams to resign because, he was running for his position as a Democrat, but about several months ago, he switched his sides. Not explicitly, but he basically stated that we need to address the immigration issue in New York City and we will be cooperating with ICE, which of course was not his announcements during his election campaign, right? That's that. In Chicago, we learned that even though it's a sanctuary city, if you have traffic violation, your information is being transmitted to ICE immediately. And that's how people get picked up in Chicago. That's also an interesting update. Apparently, there is a huge flaw in the way sanctuary cities are operating, because every time somebody gets fingerprinted, that person's information is getting transferred to federal authorities, right? They didn't really speak much about this up until recently, when this all this mess came before our eyes in the news. Finally, detention policies have changed tremendously. If you filed your cases with an immigration or you have a pending case, you need to know something. There are reports that people get arrested and detained during check-in with ICE. If you have a note of supervision and you have to check in with ICE, you need to take your lawyer with you because you may be detained. Why does it happen? It doesn't happen to everybody, but it happens to some people. Well, so far there are reports that it happens to people who violated somehow the orders of supervision. For example, they did not update their address fast enough, right? You have to update your address with ICE within 5 days of your move if you're in court, all right? And 10 days if you're not in court. You may be arrested at the interview if you had passed order of removal, but now you're trying to adjust status. In certain situations, it is actually allowed by law to adjust status if you already have an order of removal. But guess what? People get arrested. Again, take a lawyer with you if this is your case. And you may be arrested in immigration court. This happens usually if you have outstanding criminal warrant, but it can be something very small. There was like a small traffic thing and you didn't show up to your hearing and you got a warrant. And now, if you have an immigration case, ICE arresting you, I guess. Especially, I would think, maybe it's also connected to the Lake and Raleigh Act. I'm trying to figure out why it's all happening. I know that there are reports, but from what I understand, nobody is really going to give you a memo explaining what's happening. The general answer that we receive when we ask ICE as to why they're doing it, they're saying, well, everyone is subject to enforcement, and that's about that. But not everybody is getting arrested. But I just gave you a couple of examples. When you may be arrested is when you already have an order of removal and when you have that warrant. Then the chances of you being arrested are very high. And finally, Guantanamo Bay, infamous prison, is now accepting not only criminal undocumented residents of the United States, but everybody else. So they basically started shipping everybody who they catch to that location. And that was absolutely not what was promised, along with other campaign promises. That was not what they said they're going to do. Not the first time it happens in the history when politicians doing something different from what they said they would. But here where we stand with all of it. If you have questions, guys, I'm going to be very happy to answer those questions. All right? I know this particular update is not cheerful, but really, it is what it is. I was looking for good news to share with you, but I just can't find anything that would be nice, right? Thank you very much, guys, on TikTok for your hearts and likes. So let's see. Hi, Famara, watching from Gambia. Whoa, nice. Thank you for joining. Hi, Babur. I got pending VAWA. Am I safe from being deported? I would say that you should be fine. Absent any criminal convictions or previous orders of removal, I think you should be all right, okay? Um, that's what usually what I would recommend you to do if you have a pending vow. Please, please, please have the receipt with you, all right? Just to show that you do have a case pending. Why? Because according to the new policy, ICE is not going to be actively asking you if you're a victim of abuse or victim of violence. You have to volunteer this information, all right? Hi, Isha, watching from Virginia. Nice. How is the weather there? It's been snowing today in New York. Hi, Wolsey from Haiti. Thank you for joining. Hi, Yassine. My mother expired, but immigration approved. So what to want me because my grandmother applied for 15 years ago. Hi, see, I'm not really sure what the question is. Are you trying to say that the grandma filed for your mom and you want to know if you can benefit from that old filing? Sometimes you can if you were already born and you're using 245I exception. All right. Um, that probably would be the way to benefit from the grandparents' petition. Okay. Hi, Abdur. I came through the southern border. ICE gave me parole with I-94 and release paper. If I marry a U.S. citizen, can I get a green card in the United States? In fact, guys, many people who enter the United States and get 212D5 parole may adjust status if they marry a U.S. citizen, provided they're not facing some criminal, for example, grounds of inadmissibility for which no waiver is allowed. All right. Hi, Kushal. I hope you're doing well. Is the marriage-based green card stricter? I wouldn't say that only the marriage-based green card stricter. All cases that you're filing now, make sure you do a great job. Why? Because if the case will be denied, you will be issued notice to appear. All right, just keep that in mind. I paint sieges pending. What does judge see if ICE tries to terminate my removal proceedings? What the judge will say if the well, listen, if your removal proceedings will be terminated, that's going to be probably good for you, right? Because then you will file for adjustment of status with USCIS. All right. I would say that would be the course you're going to take. Okay. Higher on construction wages in Florida are $10 per hour, renting $2,400 per month. Right. So Florida is a state that attracted a lot of immigrants due to good weather. And in certain areas, the cost of living is not that high, but the wages are also not that high. Nevertheless, lots of people move to Florida, and I truly do not know what's going to happen now. 6 months ago, Florida already started announcing anti immigrant laws. And at that point in time, lots of people moved out or tried to move out, but then they realized that there was no real enforcement behind those laws. And the matters were quiet for a while. But now it seems there is new, you know, escalation of this tension. We're going to see what's going to happen and how Florida authorities are going to actually act on these laws that they pass. All right. Now, guys from TikTok, thank you for your patience. Let me answer some of your questions. We have tons. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you very much, Jar, for your gifts. Thank you, Scorpion Live, for your gifts. Thank you guys a lot. I do appreciate. I see you. Hi, Kadion Knight. Thank you very much for your gift. Hi, Daddy BM80. You were right about my family not making it back through you for you. What should I do now? Daddy, could you remind me what happened? I think they left without the authorization, right? If I remember this correctly. And If that's the case, they do need to have, they will probably have to file for a visa, which may be denied at this point because U4U now is canceled, right? Well, they said it's frozen, but the truth is that they're not going to be approving right now any new authorizations to travel. So it's only if another option that still remains is general humanitarian parole. It cannot be canceled. It's established by law, but it's hard to receive it. It is Form I-131, and it's not any specific it's not any specific parole program like for Ukraine or Haiti. It's just humanitarian parole program. Anyone can sponsor anybody based on that humanitarian parole program by paying the fee and explaining why that person has to enter the United States. So maybe your family can try to go for that, okay? It's just a tip, you know. Hi, Marco, I need legal help. If it's not your specialty, but this would be more business venture. No, I don't do business ventures, guys. I just do immigration and employment discrimination. So if you feel that you are harassed at work because of your nationality, race, a color, place of origin, sex, please reach out. We do handle such cases in the state of New York. All right, it's a federal law in the state of New York, federal lawsuits. So I enjoy bringing cases like this. It's a civil rights lawsuits, and I do help people to get the compensation they deserve for being abused at work. Hi, Minyan. F2A category inside USA filed on July 2024. How long I have to wait for approval? I do not know. All I can tell you is that for this preference categories, guys, you have to watch out for one thing. You must be in lawful non-immigrant status at the time when you file for that adjustment of status based on the family preference category. It's extremely important. Many people misunderstand how it works. Some lawyers, it seems, misunderstand how it works. They submit cases before priority date becomes current. And sometimes people even receive work permits based on that faulty submission, just to find out years later that their submission was complete garbage and they will not receive anything. It's a huge problem. It's a big concern. And unfortunately, I will not be able to tell you whether or not your case will be approved. But just know, if you were not in lawful non-immigrant status at the time when you submitted your case, and you're not subject to 245 exception, not subject to VAWA perhaps, you will not be able to adjust status, okay? Hi, Worldsmith. Can I travel with refugee travel document plus passport to third safe country to see my parents? Refugee travel document has so many restrictions. I wouldn't recommend you to use your passport. Your citizenship is more important than any travel, okay? You can find a country that accepts refugee travel document instead of the passport and arrange for your parents to go there. It's much safer for you, right? Hi, mister. Does a fine for open container in streets affect citizenship? A fine? How big was the fine? And I think it's a ticket, if I'm not mistaken. So it should be like this petty offense exception. It should be very small, but just consult with an attorney just in case. It will affect, though, for real, if you didn't show up to your court. Thank you very much for your gifts, guys. So just take a disposition, show it to an attorney prior to submitting for your citizenship, okay? Thank you, Mr. very much for your gift. Hi, Ademioskar. I-130 category, which category? Filed in July. Please, any update about filing for my husband outside of the state? If you're not from Yemen and you filed standalone I-130, it usually takes 8 to 9 months for it to be decided. If you're from Yemen, it's going to take years, okay? I'm telling you right now. Hi, Lala. If my ex came on K1 visa with my child and the spouse doesn't want to petition, can I petition? Oh, if you have, okay, you have somebody, if my ex came on K1 visa with my child and the spouse doesn't want to petition, I'm not sure what happened here. Okay, your ex now you want to petition your ex, right? Is that what it is? But they came on a K1 visa. Who was the sponsor of the K1 visa? A new person? That's what happened. So K1 entrant can adjust status only based on the petition by the fiance, US citizen fiance who sponsored them, unless they qualify for our benefits. That's the rule. Now, if you are married now to somebody who entered the United States on the K1, what can you do? You guys will have to use I-601A waiver route, all right? And again, I do not know what family saga is going on in your life, all right? But I just tried to answer the question as well as I could, all right? Higher money. My 13-year-old son and I have pending M-30 I-45. How safe are we? Who filed I-30 for you? Is it immediate relative? You have legal entry. It means you will be able to adjust, all right? Then usually if you are adjustable, you should be okay, guys. Absent criminal charges. Make sure that you don't pick up fights with anybody, all right? All right, let me see. My asylum approved and advance parole approved. Can I travel with advance parole document? Your asylum approved and advance parole approved? Advance parole approved because you filed for a green card? You have to have refugee travel document. For advance parole, to use advance parole, you will need a secondary document to prove identity, such as a passport. So you have to get the refugee travel document. By the way, guys, if you have asylum status and you file for adjustment of status, you only need to get refugee travel document, which will serve as advance parole during your green card application pending. But if you want to be super safe, you can file for advance parole as well. Okay. All right. Can I apply for citizenship, but I lost my green card and I already filed I-90? Yes, you can. You lost your green card. Yes, I think the new rules, I hope they haven't changed in this 2 weeks. They stated that you should be able to file for your green card. You only need a copy of your green card. Hopefully you have that. If you don't have a copy, you have to order FOIA, Freedom of Information Act request, hoping that you have a copy of it there. All right. Hi, Yadgo. My brother came here through Mexico. He left after 8 months. But his appearance in court is coming soon. What to do? Oh, the person self-deported themselves, right? They left the United States prior to the date in court. You have to tell the lawyer right away if he had one. If he didn't have one, your brother, I guess, has to contact the court and let them know that they left, they departed. All right. Why they didn't do it before Trump took office? Maybe at that time they would have an opportunity to have the case dismissed. Now, guys, I really do not know what's going to happen. I'll be honest. Strictly speaking, the court is going to proceed with the hearing and issue an order in absentia, even though the person is not in the United States. That's what usually happens in cases like that. All right? Don't leave the United States, please. Just don't leave the United States without the court's permission, because you're self-deporting yourself. That's what happens. It's written on every notice that you receive when they call you to come to a court. Hi, Christine, or from Florida. Will there be an issue with renewing the work permit and driver's license? Work permit is given by the federal government, right? Can they revoke your deferred action? Yes. They may. Will they? I do not know. I really will need to see and wait and see what's going to happen. But as long as you have that work permit valid and deferred action, you should be fine obtaining the driver's license, okay? Because you exactly fall into that category where federal government authorized your presence in the United States, right? Right. Let me see some more questions from YouTube. Good evening. Hi, Sheikh. If my probably 751 get denied, I'm in removal proceedings in immigration court, but still married with no criminal record. Can I apply for U.S. Coastal Guard while I'm in removal proceedings? I can probably I I'm not sure what it means. I can USA as a F1 visa. You came maybe to the United States as a F1 visa. That's a very interesting question. So technically, you are still a green card holder, but the thing is this: not these days when they terminate your status, they write it, "We terminated your status." So I would say talk to the recruiter. If they take you, go for it. Because I think it's the military people who are going to be deciding what they want to do. You do have to have a green card or citizenship usually to join the military. All right. So if the recruiter says that they're going to take you, try to go for it. But you're going to face an issue. If you think that after you join the military, you're quickly going to become a US citizen, they will not let you because there is a policy saying that they're not going to give you citizenship. They will not grant naturalization if you are deportable. All right. So that's what's happening here. I, Tabag, came here legally 18 years ago. All right. Give me more information. Okay, my husband has a pending I-130 and we are married for 8 years and he came here legally 18 years ago. He most likely, if he doesn't have any removal orders, will need to go through I-601A route. You first have to have I-130 approved, then you have to pay national visa fee, and then you have to file I-601A waiver and wait for its resolution. Can you be subject to enforcement while you're waiting? Absolutely. So it's going to be a race against time. You want to make sure that you are safely in the United States and you don't commit any crimes, don't commit any traffic violations prior to your matters being resolved by USCIS. Okay? Hi, Maria Lacerda. What the judge is going to do with administratively probably closed cases. The judge is not going to do anything until the prosecutor moves to open the cases up again. All right. Those of you who have administratively closed cases, try to be safe. Again, don't get into any trouble. That ensures that nobody touches your case, nobody is interested in it. If I'm not mistaken, currently they stated there are already 4 million cases in courts. 4 million cases. Do you really think they're looking to reopen all administrative cases at this time? I don't think so. I think right now they will be trying to push new cases to go as fast as possible. For that reason, we see some rescheduling of the cases that were scheduled, let's say, for this year or next year. They're being bumped to 2028, 2029, all right? For that reason, because I think they're clearing up the calendars for new immigrants who they're going to be deporting like hotcakes. That's what they're doing. Okay. Ay. Thank you very much. King Landis. All right. Crazy people. Listen, we can't really do anything with people who, believe that somebody is doing some kind of a work. I'm not even going to comment on that. It's just not even interesting. If you still have to explain to people that, immigrants, just like everybody else, and are not really criminals, and the 99.9% of them are honest, good people, and they really just looking for a solution. Come on, people. Why are you even joining my stream? I have no desire fighting with anybody, even though I can if I want to. Hi, Sammy. Do you think K1 visa will still be fast? Sammy, I do not like K1 visas. I never, ever recommend K1 visas to people. I do not believe they're faster. I do not believe they're good for you. They're extremely expensive in the end because you have to refile paperwork 3 times. So if you have a choice between immigrant visa and the K1 visa, choose immigrant visa. Marry the person, okay? Hi, Ara, my working visa just expired 3 months ago. Can I apply green card instead? Married to a US citizen for 5 years. All right. So if you are married to a US citizen and you entered the United States on a work visa, why? You are still not a green card holder. Of course, you should file for adjustment of status as fast as you can, okay? File for adjustment of status as fast as you can. All right. Let's see. Are you based in San Diego? No, no, no. I'm based in New York. Great state of New York. Let me see. Hey, what if you came with F1 visa and couldn't go to school? You are a target. I'm going to tell you that straight. It happened during the previous Trump's administration. They already sent these notifications to schools. The problem is bigger than that, all right? The schools have records and they're connected with immigration. If somebody violates the terms and conditions of the student life, your service record is going to be terminated. It means that the federal government immediately is going to know that you're out of status. This is when they usually send you, they're mailing you a notice saying, leave the country, your visa was revoked, your status is terminated. But there is one more issue connected to all this mess. If you entered the United States on an F1, but you never went to school, you just didn't go to school, you will be accused of fraudulent entry. It means you may be prohibited from adjusting status based on marriage, or you will be prohibited from receiving any immigration benefits in the future, apart from asylum, okay? So just remember this. Hi, MKJ. My sibling got 221G probably refusal. What should I do, please? Well, it's administrative processing. It means that the visa was not denied but was not approved. You need to talk to your family member and see what questions they were asked at the interview, what potential issue may be, and hire an attorney. Sometimes it works great. You hire an attorney contacts the consulate resolves the issue in your favor. Sometimes you hire an attorney contacts the consulate, the administrative processing is resolved, but not in your favor, okay? It depends on the circumstances on the consulate and what happened with your family member in the past, all right? If they tried to enter the United States, they were not successful. Maybe there is an issue with their work experience or something else. Hi, Paula. Is it a problem if I updated my new address after months of moving? Could there be a problem for my case? Usually not. There are tons of people who are not updating their address on time. Now, guys, you have to be mindful of that and really, really update your address on time. It's extremely important due to potential criminal charges being attached to failure to register situation. But now you know you need to update. Do it right away. File Form AR11 online, all right? Hi, Baba. My lawyer made a mistake while filing my spouse I-130 and she put my parents deceased. So only my father is deceased. Now what I want to file for my mom? Oh, mom who doesn't exist, right? Okay. So, was it a material mistake or not? If it's not material, you should be fine, okay? When did you discover the mistake? If you just discovered the mistake, I mean, if guys, if you file a form and there is a typo on it or mistake, and the form is still pending, it is possible to correct the mistake by contacting USCIS. It's very easy actually to do that. If you discovered that there was a mistake after the case was already approved, it's a problemo. You can refile the case, but I assume you don't want to do that with the correct information. You can file for your mom and explain that the mistake was done, but I do not know the details. A mistake may be material or immaterial. Material mistake may result in fraud charges. Against whom, though? I-130 belongs to your spouse, not to you. So you don't sign I-130. Obviously, it's not a problem, okay, for you. But what was left on other forms? What about your I-45 form? What did that form say about your parents? And that form is signed by you, okay? So I don't know the details. Why don't you go over the situation, see if the case is still pending, but you wouldn't be asking if you can file for appearance, I guess. What did you submit during your citizenship? Like, there are so many questions here. I keep thinking about your issue, and I think that it's just because of I-130 mistake, it shouldn't be a problem because you also submitted tons of forms afterwards talking about your parents, okay? Hi, MB. What do you know about adjustment of status based on granted asylum by a judge? Each case is different. We had a case that was granted in about 4 to 6 months after we submitted for a green card, and some cases are being held for review for years. Some cases result in revocation of asylum status. Some cases will result in interview. All I can tell you is that if you are called for an interview after you filed for a green card based on granted asylum, take a lawyer with you, right? Something is not right there. Just a general piece of advice. Well, guys, thank you very much for your questions. I see that there are a million questions left, and I'm not able to answer them tonight, okay? Please sign up for my YouTube channel, comment with these questions. I will try to answer them after we're done here. You know the news, what happened. Various bills are being passed by local states. You know now how sanctuary cities are not protecting you from immigration because apparently during each fingerprint occasion, state government automatically shares information with the ICE, like there is some database. On my Facebook, I posted the video explaining how it works. It's news video. I copied it and posted it for you. So you know it's official. It doesn't come from me. So be careful, be prepared, consult with lawyers, work with an attorney. When you file for something, make sure it's a great filing, not some mumbo jumbo, all right? Try to avoid mistakes. Update your address when you move, all right? And take an attorney with you if you're called for that check-in appointment or USCIS interview. Very important. Stay safe, and I hope to see you soon.